Okay, welcome everybody to this webinar, how to utilize iLogic with and without coding. My name is Aldred Boyd. I'm an application engineer for Micrographics. And just as you can see over there is my email address. So if you do have any questions that you might think of after the webinar, you're more than welcome to email me and I'll answer those for you. Okay. So just a little bit about myself. I'm an industry specialist for the Autodesk manufacturing products. So that goes for, AutoCAD, AutoCAD mechanical, AutoCAD electrical, Inventor. Inventor is my forte, so that's the one that I've been, sort of using the most. But I do dabble in all things AutoCAD as well as on the data management side. So if you have, if you've got Inventor or even just full AutoCAD, you know that there's a product called Autodesk Vault, which is very good for managing your data. I've got 19 years of experience, so I've been in the channel for quite a while, starting off, as I said, with AutoCAD and then slowly migrating to Inventor and working on everything that sort of revolves around Inventor as its centerpiece software. I'm a both AutoCAD and Inventor certified professional. So if you want to know about that, you can chat to me about that later as well. So you kind of take exams on Inventor and AutoCAD as well. And then you're basically allowed to sort of put a little logo on, sort of all your social media and your email addresses as well. You have to redo the exam, I think, every couple of years. I'm also an Autodesk certified instructor. So if you ever come to sort of any of our offices for training, either remote or in class as well, you will know that all of our instructors are actually certified instructors. So we've also had to go for rigorous testing and exams with Autodesk to be able to present to you the material the way they want to present the material to you. I've also I've done sort of the Autodesk University extensions at Joburg and Cape Town. So I've lectured over there. So on iLogic, so with this the subject matter that we've got today, as well as sort of best tricks for Inventor. If you ever get the chance, or we ever open up again for Autodesk University extension, I really would implore you guys to go. It's great fun. We meet lots of different professionals in your industry, and you'll learn lots of tips and tricks. We also do get some guys over from overseas as well. There is an Autodesk University coming up now, I think in a month or two. So if you just go to the website Autodesk University, you'll see that you can actually register for free. On the virtual sort of conference that they have over there. It's really worthwhile. Okay, so just the agenda for today. So basically, we're going to go through what is iLogic and why iLogic. So if you haven't sort of done iLogic before, then we're just going to go through kind of why we do iLogic and what the reasons are for using it. And then, to get to iLogic or to start doing iLogic, we need to understand what parameters and iProperties are and how we can use that to drive models and get information out of models as well. Then you've got your iLogic form, so that's the without coding part. So you'll see how quick and easy it is just to kind of use what you've created already. And the forms is part of iLogic. So that's the, you don't have to do any coding of it. You'll just actually see how easy it is when I get to that. If, then statements and more. So we're just going to take a look at kind of that. Event triggers, and then I've just got some best practices for you at the end of the show, and then just a sort of a conclusion. Okay. Okay, so what is iLogic? So iLogic is a built-in component to Autodesk Inventor that allows users to create rules that will automate segments of the design process. Okay, so it's built in. It was introduced, I think, about 2012 as a kind of an add-in, and then through the years, they kind of, sort of now it comes bundled with Inventor. So I'll show you where to find it, when we open up Inventor just now in the demo, but it is sitting there. You do have it if you are on the latest Inventor, so it's there ready for you to go. These little iLogic rules, as we call them, are just mini computer programs written in Visual Basic.net. So if you know sort of Visual Basic and you want to kind of do sort of more advanced programming with iLogic, you can definitely do that with this as well. So remember, Inventor has got your iLogic, and it's also got an API as well, which you can program into. So You can either just go the iLogic route and just kind of keep it casual, or what you can do is you can sort of get into the heavy hitting and write some VB with the API or even in iLogic as well. Okay. So what iLogic does is it's going to manipulate, as I said, your parameters, iProperties, features, and components. Okay, so those are kind of the 4 different things that it does manipulate, and it just helps with the Y over here. It just helps with the automation of a certain product. I mean, when, for instance, you're creating an assembly, it's got 100 parts. You've got to go and create drawings for each of those parts. And I mean, if it's going to be a front view, side view, top view, isometric view for every single one, that's a lot of clicks. That's a lot of time that you've got to spend detailing. So, maybe use iLogic to automate that, or use the API to automate that. So, that's kind of things you've got to think of. What can I do to automate my process as much as possible, even if it's just 60 or 70%? I mean, if you're spending 100 hours designing a product, and even 60%, which is 60 hours, is automated, that's a win in my books. So iLogic, automation go great hand in hand. Okay, so the first thing we're going to take a look at is your parameters. Now, if you haven't used parameters, I really suggest you do. These are basically, well, if you haven't been using parameters consciously, you have been using them unconsciously. So whenever you create a sketch, a dimension, a parameter gets created, starting from D0, D1, D2. Features, sort of, normally it just says extrusion 1 equals 100 millimeters. And once again, that extrusion 1 is D10, D11, D12, depending on when you created that extrusion after you've created your sketch. So you can find that in your sketch. You can actually change the names of the parameters for easy use. And I say that because, if you look at a product after you've created and you see D1, D2, D5000, you don't know what it actually pertains to. So what you can do is, with your parameters, you can actually start naming them. So you can see over here, I've got vice size and part color. And that, that's, very, very quickly tells me, okay, it's the part of the color, or it's the size of the vice. So what kind of rename them? There's 2 different types of parameters that you get. So you get your model parameters and user parameters. So the model parameters of what we've kind of been using all the time, D0, D1, D2, you can rename those. And then, just for easier identification. And then you've also got your user parameters as well. And there's 3 different types of user parameters you get. You get your text parameter, you get your numeric, and you get your Boolean, true or false. And I'll show you how to create one of those just now as well. And you can also create multi-value parameters. So that parameter doesn't just have to be one sort of value. It can be a couple different values which you can change to see also and differentiate the model, maybe a small, medium, or large length model that you've got. Okay, so with your parameters, very important, really do start to use them if you haven't started using them already. Then the next thing that you can manipulate, and you also need to understand, is for your iProperties. Now, your iProperties are found by either clicking at the top, the big I, going to iProperties, or right-clicking on the name in the browser and then just going to iProperties there. As you can see there, you've got your summary, project tabs, and you've got things like part number, description, stock number, a lot of different information that you need when sort of getting your bill of materials or your parts list, or maybe pulling information onto your 2D drawing, from the part. So iProperties can be controlled with iLogic as well. And, either, filling it in, or, as I said, extracting it from the part of the assembly and putting into your 2D drawing, or any reporting that you need to do as well. So those are 2 very, very important things to look at when using iLogic. Okay, so let's just take a look at how to create your parameters, and just once again, the iProperties if you've never seen that before. Okay, so here we go. I've just got a part over here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this part and, just using parameters and iProperties, show how we can use iLogic with that as well. So as I said, when working in your in your part, the first thing you can do is start actually renaming your different parameters. So if I take a look at this radius over here, You'll see the edit dimension is D2. Now, as I said, if you're going to go take a look at D2, what is that? What does it pertain to? You know, if I change it, what else is going to change? You don't really know. So, you know, from the beginning, on the get-go, if you want to, you could be like, you know, rad1 or equals. So maybe I've got a list, a legend somewhere that's rad1 is, you know, the top curve of this vice. Or, you know, you can even say top this curve of vice equals. Okay, so when it's red, it doesn't recognize it. As soon as it goes black, it recognizes that. So there we go, top curve of vice, press enter. So now I've already started using and renaming my parameters. So I can actually identify what that is. If you are working in your sketch over here and you know you just see the numbers, you want to see the names, maybe you got this drawing from someone else and you want to kind of know what's going on, and just right click anywhere and then go to dimension display and we can go to name. So you can see there very quickly, I can see, okay, that's the top curve of the vice. I know exactly what it is. D1, D3, D0, and D4, not so much. So, you know, we're getting it. Okay, so that's the one way that you can do it. And similarly with your extrusion one as well. So if I go and edit this extrusion, you'll see that I've got distance A. I hold my cursor there, it says D100. Okay, so, you know, once again, I can also go and type in length there equals 184. So it actually renames that to length. Yes, I'm not going to do it over there. So then the third place where you can actually go and manage all your parameters is actually up over here under your FX. So with this FX, it opens up the parameters dialog box. Now over here you'll see there's all the different parameters that I've already created. So these are the model parameters that I've created. And then at the bottom you've got user parameters. Now why would we use user parameters versus model parameters? So with user parameters, as we can see over here, I've created this top curve equals 17.4. Now, if I go back to the sketch over here and I'm doing something and I'm not really thinking and I think, oh, you know, delete that. Oh, wait, no, actually just leave it back again. Go off there. It's now D63. Okay, so model parameters, when they get created, if you delete them, they also get deleted as well. So they don't stay in the parameters for you to maybe use as an equation or in an equation for another dimension that you need. Okay, so that is one of the downsides of model parameters. I'm not saying you can't use model parameters when you name them, but just you know, sort of note that. So if I go back to my model parameters over here now, what I can do is let's go and create some user parameters. And these user parameters can also be created in a template that you have. So if you've got a design that's very similar to using the same parameter names, maybe the same you know, sort of true, false parameters as well, then you can put that in over here. So what I'm going to do at the bottom is you'll see there add numeric, add text, or add true and false. So the first way to take a look at it is add numeric, and I actually want to have the length of this vice. So I'm just going to go say length of vice, okay. And under that I can also go and change my unit type. So the length, you'll see there I've got millimeters, centimeters, meters, inches, nautical mile, mile. So millimeters is the one that I want to use. And it says here 1 millimeter at the moment. Now, I want to do a couple different options for this. So you'll see there my length is 184.15. And I want to do it 185, 195, and 205. So those are the three different options that I want for the length of this. So if I right click on my 1 millimeter, I can say make multi-value. Okay, and it brings us up over here. First, I'm going to delete that. And I want 185, 195, and 205. And just add that. Now, with this, if you're standardizing an object or, you know, a part that you're creating, don't click on allow custom values. You know, you just say, when someone creates this from scratch, if it's a new guy, if it's an old guy in the company, those are the only three values you're allowed to use because we've standardized our products. Okay, so once that's done, we now have to link that to the dimension that I've created. So there's a couple different ways of doing that. So we can either select this, click on it, and say list parameters. And what it does is everything we've renamed will come up in this parameters box over here. If we don't do that, we can go to our extrusion one as well. And you know, this is how you do it if you've created that parameter before. And we can go to our distance, select that, list parameters, length of vice. And you can see it shifted just a little bit from 184 to 185. And okay. So now how does this work? So if I go to my parameters dialog box again, all the way to the bottom, we'll see there I can change it. So when I change it, let's see what happens to the model. Okay, so it got a little bit bigger, got a little bigger. Okay. And we go back to that over there. Okay, you can obviously go and take this and make equations out of parameters as well. So you'll see over here, my D47 is D0 divided by 2. So D0 is 28.57 and where is that? And whatever my D47 is, that's that's what the value is going to be. So when my D0 changes, my D47 changes as well. And, you know, I'm looking at this, I don't know what D47 is, so it probably would have been a good idea for me to rename those parameters so that I could see what's going on. Okay, so the next one I want to take a look at is just text parameters. So with the text parameter, I'm going to say part color. I just need to either, you know, put an underscore in there. It doesn't take spaces. Let's see, part color. Okay. And then make us another multi-value. And let's go green. Let's go red. And I want to do brass satin. Okay. So we're not going to do anything with that at the moment. We'll take a look at how we were able to use that in our iLogic to change the colors of this component over here. And then the last one I'm going to do is add a true or false. Okay, let's go decal. And I'm going to say either decal will be there or won't be there. Okay. And then with the eye properties, you'll see there, if I right click and go to eye properties, here's all the eye properties. And, you know, if you are looking at, you know, so these eye properties and putting information in there, you know, maybe every part that you have to have your stock number, you have to have your part number, you have to have a description. And, you know, you want to have a way of making sure that you put all that information in. You know, either visually or a reminder or, you know, just before you save or something like that, you want maybe a message to pop up and says, you know, listen, you actually haven't put in this information, please put it in and then we can save it. So that is where the iLogic will come in to be able to fill out the information over here. Okay. Okay, so just go back to the, so that is your parameters and eye properties. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to take a look at is creating an iLogic form, and this is where the no coding comes in. So you know, with iLogic, everyone thinks, oh, it's coding, it's really difficult. You know, how am I going to use it to be able to manipulate my model? So the no coding part would be just to create a form, and it's as easy as just dragging and dropping what you've created, like in your parameters or in your eye properties, onto the form. So, you know, even guys who've never done, you know, coding before can do this, as, you know, everyone knows how to drag and drop things onto basically a visual dialog box or something like that. Okay, and then you've got your iLogic. So this is where it gets a little bit hairier, but they've made it very, very easy for you. So, I mean, if you take a look at this over here, on the left-hand side, you've got what we call the snippets. And that snippets is kind of sort of pre-written code that you've got. So you're able to very, very quickly just see, and you can see there like parameters. So I can change my parameters of my iLogic, or the features. I can change features of my iLogic. You know, so all that stuff, I can just kind of double click on it, and then it starts to populate this area over here, you know, where all the coding happens. And even, you know, see, like, you know, in Inventor 2022, they've made it very, very easy where you start typing out something and it'll actually list all the code that actually, you know, starts with those letters. So it's making it very, very easy for you. And then at the top over there, you'll see if, then, end if. So those are if, then statements that you can use as well. You know, you can see the if vice size equals small, then blah, 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 and then end if. So they've kind of pre-populated a lot of the code that you need. And if you've done Excel coding, or, you know, you've done a lot of, you know, sort of sort of manipulate your calculations in Excel, this should come very, very easy to you, as it is very, very similar to that kind of manipulation of data, I would say. Okay. So just if-then statements. Okay, so once again, snippets panel, you got your system and your custom as well. So custom coding, you can also put your own little custom snippets in there as well for later use. So, you know, if you get something, just keep on using it. They have got sort of more advanced coding available, like selecting cases or selecting names. So if you've done VB before, or any actually programming, you'll understand that, and you'll be able to get into it quite quickly. Then the last thing that you can look at, you know, after you've done all your coding, so you've done your parameters, you've done your I properties, you've done your, you know, so your form, and then you've put all your either your coding, your iLogic into the form, or you've done that. Then you've got your event triggers, and what this does is it allows you to automatically run certain rules at a certain point in time. So, you know, you don't want all the rules to run all the time, otherwise you'll be sitting here and just, you know, your PC will just be struggling and calculating. You sit there, go have a cup of coffee or smoke, you come back, that's still running. So what this allows you to do is you might have 10, 20, 30 different rules, but they've got to run at different times. So for instance, like you got on the right, you got a new document. So maybe one of the rules when a new document is open the form that you've created with the information that needs to be put in, like for instance, part number, description, and, you know, sort of the customer details. So that form will open up just as you create a new document. You know, before saved documents, there might be a rule that's run to check that you've put all that information in. So if it runs and you see that you haven't put a description in, you can have a message pop up and say, listen, sorry, I can't save this because you haven't put in the description yet. And then from there you can say, because that's done, it'll open up the form, and then you'll be able to then go see there's no description and go put it in over there. So you kind of run it like that, where you have different rules run at different events of your design stage, from opening up your document to maybe changing, you know, parameters or changing I properties here over there, to then closing down the document and saving it, that you know that when you go to production, you're going to have all the information that you need on hand to go make your parts. Okay, so let's jump into iLogic and let's see how this works. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and just create a form. If you don't know where your iLogic sits, at the top of your under model, just click on the plus button, so show tabs, and you'll see there's iLogic. So this comes standard with every single Inventor installation you've got. And at the top of here, you'll see you've got some rules and forms, global forms and external rules. Now, we just look at forms and rules, but with the global forms, you can have a form that applies to, you know, sort of any sort of part that you open up. So it's saved outside the drawing and not saved inside this drawing that you've got over here, or the part model that you've got. So I'm going to go to forms, and Inventor very much right-click driven. Right-click, it says the add form or edit. So I'm going to go add form, and it brings up this form editor over here. Now you'll see very, very quickly what is available to me over here. So once again, under my parameters, there's the 3 user parameters I created: length, device, part, color, and detail. And this is also another very good reason why we rename our parameters. So it's just very easy to identify what's actually going on in this whole this project, in the parts and the assemblies. So once again, so let's just go form 1. I'm going to go vice, okay, and it will then go and change the form name to vice over there. And all I want to do is, instead of having to go to my parameters every single time, going to the bottom, clicking on a drop-down arrow, and selecting either 185, 195, or 205, I just want this little form to pop up, and I want to manipulate it from here. So length of vice, all we do, drag and drop. And it's that easy. There we go. I'm iLogicing already. So let's go see how that works. Okay, so vice, 195, there we go. So, you know, all I've done just to get into iLogic here is I've gone off, created a parameter, and then created a form, dragged and dropped one little, you know, sort of line item on, and I'm iLogicing. Okay. So there we go. If you want to go edit it and maybe put a couple of more things on. So, if you have any rules available, you can go and grab the rules over there and your iProperties as well. So, for instance, part number. Now we can go put the part number over there, description over there. Now, at the bottom of here, you've got a toolbox. So you can actually go and manipulate this form to look like, it's got your company logo on. You can have little you could drag left and right, sort of buttons, things like that to go change maybe your 185 to 205. So you can, change how this looks and how it interacts with your users over here. So I'm going to go and select this vice over here, and you can see that I don't have a description. Okay, so let's see description. This is the description. Okay. And so going back to my iProperties, right-click iProperties, go to project, you'll see there it's filled out my description for me. So not only was I able to manipulate the parameters and make it bigger or smaller, I'm also able to go and insert a description over here, and it will then populate my iProperties in my part. Okay, so that's basically the non sort of programming stuff. Let's go take a look at the programming stuff. So let's, I'm just going to go quickly put in a decal over here. Okay, just go and decal. Okay, so with the parameter I'm going to create over here, you see that I created the parameter decal true or false. And so what I'm going to show is how we can either have it showing or not showing through your iLogic. So the first thing I'm going to do, let's go to iLogic and let's go create a rule. Right click, add a rule, be descriptive. Let's go color of components. And this is where the magic happens. So as I said, on the left hand side of here, we got either your system snippets or your custom snippets as well. Okay. And we can see over here parameters, features, components, iProperties. And the colors are situated under the iProperties over here. So if I had to go and say part color, so it says there set or get the part color. So you can either set the part color or maybe get the part color by running a little iLogic routine that says the color is blue, the color is green, the color is brass satin. So if I double click on it, you'll see that it'll put the coding for your iProperties part color. I'm not going to need that yet, so I'm just going to go delete it. Up at the top over here, you'll see as I click on each sort of components of my part, you'll see there model parameters. So there's all the model parameters that I've got. Okay. And then my user parameters. So there's my user parameters. And for me to get any of this down into the bottom for the coding, so length of vice, right click, capture current state. So it says there, okay, so it's a list of values that I've got. The name of the parameters, length of vice, and it's either 185, 195, or 205. And the length of my vice currently in the model is 185. Okay, so you're able to get all that information very, very quickly by just right-clicking and getting that. And that's for all of these. So you can see their decal, capture current state. So decal, so this kind of little note that you've got over here, features active decal 1 equals true. So it is not suppressed. It is visible. It is active. So let's go start doing a little bit of iLogic. So with that, I'm going to go to my yep. You can see what I've got here, if, then, end, if, else, if, then, or else. So I'm going to go to my if, then, end, if, click on it, and it starts my coding. Okay, so what do I want to say? And what I do is when I kind of do this, I kind of write it out as a sentence. It makes it much easier to be able to, sort of visualize and just see exactly what I'm going to write in the coding. So I want the part color, so if I go over here and I say if the part color in inverted commas part underscore, and is case sensitive as well. Okay. Equals, let's say for instance, red. Oh, sorry, no, I've just got to, let's just go back over here. If, okay, so I'm going over here. If the part color, so if the I properties part color is red, then I'm going to say this part color over here, part color must equal red. Okay. Now, the best thing about doing iLogic is just sort of copy and paste. So copy that, okay. Come down to the bottom, I'm going to go so else if, and then just go and copy and paste this down over here. Okay, so if I change my I properties part color to red, and you can see at the top there it says red over there, then the part color must be red. So it'll actually, if I look at this, I'm changing, if I change that, then it's going to change the I property. So I'm going to just swap this around over here. So this needs to go over here. And this needs to go over here. Okay. Let's go and copy and paste this. Okay, so then the I part color equals, let's go brass satin, then I properties part color must be the same as well, brass satin. So let's go take a look at what that looks like. So we've always got to kind of, sort of do some coding and then, test it out to see if it's actually working or not, and then end if. So save and run. Okay. So let's take a look at it. It's actually changed color here. So if I go to my I properties over here, and we go part color is brass satin. So let's go back to red, and it changes to red over there. So I'm now controlling the color of the of this through my sort of iLogic over here. So vice, let's go again. So you see I don't see the color over here. So let's go back, edit the form, and where's that part color? So let's go part color. And now I'm able to go and change it red and brass satin. I haven't coded in green, so it's not going to do anything over there. So once I code in the green, then it will change to the green as well. So, you can change color, change material, anything your I properties you want to change, you can change your iLogic. The next rule I'm going to take a look at is just suppressing or not suppressing the decal. So add a rule, decal, and OK. So let's take a look at what's going on over here. So if I go to my decal right at the bottom, right-click capture current state. So it says there, features active decal is true. So I'm going to say if my user parameter decal if decal equals true, then the feature is there. Okay. But if decal is false, then you must suppress that. So then I go to my else if, paste, decal is false, then this will be false. You can see that it brings up false, so they just click on it. End if. Okay, so let's see if that works. Save and run. So go to my parameters, false, and it's now disappeared. What does it do? It goes and suppresses my decal at the bottom over there. Okay. So that's just, sort of very quickly, through our I properties and our parameters, how we can use that in iLogic, either as a form, where you are, just sort of dragging and dropping on over here, clicking it, changing some of the, the components and stuff like that, and the part number and the description actually writes back to the iProperties as well, sort of over there. And then with the, sort of your decal with the true, false, or the Boolean user parameter, we can actually either have it there, so suppress it, or don't suppress it. And this can happen, in your sketch environment, your part environment, and your assembly environment as well. And you, as I said, you can also use iLogic rules in your, in any of these sort of properties over here. So we'll look at the snippets, iLogic assemblies, positioning, properties, Excel data links. If you want to take data from Excel and read it into your part or read it out of your part, it's there. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so that was just basically, a little bit of iLogic with programming and without programming. Okay, so just, if you get into iLogic, just some best practices. You saw there in the gray there, it was, there was some gray text there when I put in the decal, what's the, just those are comments. And, use comments in your coding just to see what's going on. Now, you might be, heavily into a project, you're doing some iLogic coding, then you need to go do something else. And even if it's like a day or 2 days later, you come back and you kind of like, why did I do this? Why did I put this coding in? So if you kind of put lots of descriptions in or, comments, it does help you, and it also helps others to be able to go and just see exactly why this was done. And that doesn't just go for the iLogic as well. Your parameters, on the side, you also there's a comment section for the parameters. Put a comment in there. 5 years down the line, someone comes along and says, oh, why did we name this link? Or, why did we do this? Okay, there's a comment. Okay, great. I know exactly why we did that. Another thing, don't overdo it by overcomplicating your rules. Never do that. Rather, less rules, keep it simplistic. Sort of less in your rules. So more rules, less in your rules, just makes it more easy to be able to troubleshoot when something goes wrong. And, believe me, if you've done coding before, something inevitably does go wrong, and then you kind of sit there, now you've got to debug and you don't know what's going on. So if you can kind of break it up into smaller chunks, you'll be able to identify where things have gone wrong a bit more easily. Okay. Make rules that can be reused in other projects. So, this also comes down to maybe the parameter name. If you've got the same parameter names, then, copying and pasting a rule into another part, makes it easier because it can identify that name. So, using length, both with a capital L in 2 different parts or in an assembly, instead of using a length with a capital L and a small l, when you write the code, it sees length, capital L, small l as 2 different parameters. So, if you copy and paste that code into something else, it's not going to work. Okay. As I said, that L and small l, big L, small l, consistency. So to try and keep it consistent. And this is the last thing that I mentioned, use comments. So comments, it really, really does help with troubleshooting and seeing what went wrong. Okay. Oh, sorry. Just Q&A. So that's Q&A. So thank you very much for listening. Do you guys have any questions? Either put it in the chat at the bottom, or sort of just unmute your mic.
Hello, it's Peter Walker here. Can you hear me?
Yes, Peter, I can. Hi.
All right, great, man. Listen, this is a sort of a question slightly related to this. Mm-hmm. Just tell me, when will Autodesk include in the sheet parameters the sheet name, that you can use the sheet name as a field? You can use everything else in the sheet details as a as a field, but you can't use the sheet name in, say in your title block. So when you got a whole set of sheets in a drawing, mm-hmm. that you could just use the name of the sheet to come up in each individual title block. I know you can write a whole routine.
Yeah.
And at the moment, I just cheat and I use the sheet revision as a field and just bluff it's the sheet name.
Yeah.
And I bring it up in the title block for each page, you know, for each sheet.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why they don't make it available as a field.
Are you talking about iLogic, or are you talking about in the...
No. So that's why I said it's a related question.
Yeah.
You know, so I know you can use a whole iLogic routine to, you know, to bring the sheet name in. But it just seems that every other sheet parameter you can use
except for the
as
sheet
a
name.
field. Yeah.
I don't know how to answer that question. The one thing you can do is, I don't know if you've looked at the Inventor idea stations.
Okay. No, I haven't.
So if you go to Inventor idea stations, put it up as an idea.
Okay.
And then you basically get everyone in the company with an Autodesk account to go and just say, yes, I want this. And what they do is, a lot of those idea stations, they actually write back into Inventor. So when you get a new, like either dot release or a new Inventor, I would say about 40 to 60% of that is user-based like features that people want.
Yeah.
So put it up in the idea station and say, listen, you know, I need this, and you know, please can we get it? And if enough people sort of get it and it gets the ball rolling, they actually do seriously consider putting it into Inventor, base Inventor.
Okay, I'll try and motivate the few people I do know that are using Inventor. But we'll give it, yeah. Okay, Inventor ideas. I can just Google that.
Yeah, it's called Idea Station.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyhow, thanks a lot for that.
No, cool.
All right. Cheers, man.
Okay, can you use iLogic for tube and pipe? I don't think you can. I've actually never been asked that question. I haven't looked at it. Let's just see. Let's go to open up an assembly quickly. Okay. You know what? I don't think you can. I haven't seen it. I'll actually, I must actually just take a look at that and see if I can see if there's any chatter about them using, iLogic in tube and pipe. As you guys have known, if you've used tube and pipe, they haven't done much to tube and pipe over the the last few years. Well, actually for a long time, until a couple of years ago, they started, sort of redoing sort of stuff for tube and pipe. So I don't think they do have anything for tube and pipe. But once again, sort of if you've got an idea and you want to kind of start doing, things, in iLogic or something like that, go to the idea station, put your idea down and let's see if we can get the ball rolling. Even if you, email me, I'll get all my guys here at the company to say, listen, please guys, can you just, what they call kudos, give it a thumbs up. And then we can see if we can get Autodesk on our payroll. Okay, if there are no more questions, thank you very much. So there are our details over there if you do need any help, anything like that, anything Autodesk related. Thank you very much for for joining my little webinar. And guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Cheers.